This is Dennis Peacock with another edition of Great Issues of Our Day, Primitive Islam and World Peace. The question is, can an agrarian Islamic nation be forced to assimilate into Western culture? That's really what Afghanistan is all about. And recently we saw the contradiction, President Obama being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for seeking world peace, having just released an additional 30,000 troops into Afghanistan. I've read some very interesting articles here in the recent times on that situation, not the least of which was an article where the Russian generals were offering their strategic input, if you can believe that, to the United States military establishment. And they were pointing out that we were now joining what they called the Brotherhood of Historical Failure, beginning with Alexander the Great. And that really deals with the whole question of all the military generals over the last several thousand years that have invaded Afghanistan and been unable to hold it. One of the senior Russian generals, and I believe there were 7 who eventually were in control of that situation, made the observation that everything that could have been done has already been tried. And there is no possibility of long-run military success. And to add insult to injury, so to speak, the senior military man in the U.S., head of Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, released a statement here this last week where basically in addressing the troops, the Marines said, we're not winning, we're losing, because more and more insurgents are being recruited on a daily basis, and made the comment that in his 40 years of military service, he views this as the most dangerous time in his life relative to military security in the U.S. forces. When you have an agrarian society where they have exhibited, at least over the last 50 years, no urge to assimilate into Western culture to become an industrialized nation. It's primarily agricultural and thin at that, largely supported by the drug trade, by growing opium poppies. The whole idea of being able to convince those agrarian Islamic folks that it's in their interest to align itself with the U.S. as the epitome of a Western superpower, that's going to be a very tough sale, folks. And the other addendum to that is you have a whole culture that is used to authoritarian leadership. And what we're trying to establish and make it work is Western-style democracy, where self-government and representative government is the whole foundation of the culture, not obedience to heavy-handed authoritarian figures. You know, I ask the question again, can agrarian Islam be forced to assimilate into Western culture? I've said for some time Afghanistan is the counterpart of Vietnam, not Iraq. Iraq had some base of industrialization. Afghanistan has very little. I think it's going to be really, really tough to sell an agrarian Islamic population on aligning itself with the West. Where's all this going? Click the link below to Strategic Vision. This is Dennis Peacock once again for Great Issues of Our Day.